Have you ever wondered what it will feel like in the final moments when everything you know begins to disappear? Not just your body, not just the room you're in, but your name, your memories, your roles, mother, father, friend, professional, all the stories you spent a lifetime defending. Imagine this. You are lying in a quiet hospital room. Machines hum softly in the background. A hand is wrapped around yours. Someone who loves you. But your mind is somewhere else. The faces around you begin to blur. The fluorescent lights dissolve into a soft, golden haze. You try to hold on to a thought, your first house, your children's laughter, that one regret, but everything slips away like sand through open fingers. And in that strange, terrifying softness, one question appears, clearer than anything else. If everything I know is ending, then what am I really without it? This is not just a question for the dying. It is a question for anyone who is still alive and brave enough to look beyond the last breath. Let me tell you a story about a man named Daniel. Daniel was 72 when his doctors told him that his memory would begin to fade. Not all at once, not dramatically like in the movies, but slowly, gently, like a book losing one word at a time. At first, it was small things, where he left his keys, the name of a distant cousin, the plot of a movie he watched last week. But then, larger pieces began to loosen. The year his wife died, the exact age of his children, the city he grew up in. One evening, his daughter found him standing in the living room, staring at an old wedding photograph. He held the frame in his trembling hands and asked, very softly, "Do you know who this is?" "That's you, Dad," she said, her voice breaking. "And Mom." Daniel looked at his younger self in the picture, confident, laughing, full of plans, and then at the woman beside him, her veil glowing in the sunlight. "I believe you," he replied, "but I don't feel like him, and I don't remember loving her. What does that make me now?" His daughter didn't know what to say. She felt as if her father had died while his body was still standing there, still breathing, still warm. But here is where the story turns. As the months went by, Daniel lost more and more of his autobiography. The narrative of his life unraveled. Yet something strange remained. He would sit by the window in the late afternoon, watching the light move across the floor. Sometimes he would smile, not at a memory, but at the simple warmth on his skin. He began to respond less to his name and more to the tone of a voice. He forgot his granddaughter's birthday, but his eyes lit up whenever she quietly slipped her hand into his. Toward the end, he didn't know who he was, where he was, or what had happened to him. Yet, when someone held him gently, when a familiar hymn played softly, or a nurse spoke to him with kindness, tears would gather in his eyes. It was as if the story of Daniel was almost gone, but something deeper, something wordless, was still very much alive. Modern neuroscience tells us that much of what we call myself is a story the brain is constantly writing. Your brain takes memories, habits, preferences, and stitches them into a narrative. This is me. This is my past. This is who I am. But here's the quiet truth. That story is fragile. A stroke, an accident, an illness, even time itself, can erase whole chapters. If everything you know about yourself can be lost, then can it really be the deepest truth of who you are? Think about it. A career ends. Children grow up and leave. The body weakens. Friendships and relationships change. And one by one, the identities you once wore with pride fall away, like leaves from an old tree. So who are you when you are no longer useful? No longer successful? No longer remembered, even by your own brain? Perhaps this is what frightened you when you watched someone you love lose their memory. It wasn't just their fading, it was the mirror of your own. But look at Daniel again. Even when he forgot his own story, he still responded to warmth, to tone, to presence. That means there is something in us that is deeper than memory, deeper than biography. Psychologists sometimes call it pure awareness, the simple, silent capacity to experience, even when you don't have the words for it. You might call it consciousness, or soul, or the watcher behind the eyes. Whatever name you choose, it seems that when everything you know dissolves, something more basic, more innocent, remains. And that may be what you really are. Science can measure brain waves, blood flow, electrical activity. It can show us what parts of the brain light up when we speak, remember, or love. But science still doesn't fully know what consciousness itself is. It can describe how the brain processes information, but not why there is a felt experience inside all of it. Why does it feel like something to be you? Here is where spirituality quietly enters the room. Many spiritual traditions say, you are not the body. You are not the mind. You are not the story. You are the awareness in which the body, the mind, the story all appear and then disappear. From this view, what we call the end of everything you know is not the end of you. It is the end of confusion. It is the end of mistaking your temporary costume for your eternal being. Imagine a wave in the ocean. For a brief moment, it rises. It has a shape, a height, a direction. It might say, I am this tall. I am moving that way. I was born at this shore. I will die on that sand. But what is the wave made of before, during, and after its rise? Water. Always water. Our lives are like that wave. Our names are like that shape. Our memories are like the foam on top. But what if, when the end of everything you know arrives, you are not being erased, you are being returned, from wave back to ocean? From the story of me, back to whatever it is that has silently watched your entire life unfold. Maybe you call that God. Maybe you call it Source, the divine, the beloved, or simply home. Science can't prove this. But it also can't explain away the countless experiences of people who, in the face of death, felt less fear and more expansion. More peace. More rightness. Perhaps that is what begins when everything you know ends. Not a darkness, but a deeper light. So what does this mean for you? Here, now, still breathing, still remembering your own name? It means this. You don't have to wait for a hospital bed or a final diagnosis to begin letting go of who you think you are. You can practice the end of everything you know in small, gentle ways. When you sit in silence and you watch your thoughts rise and fall, you are already learning to exist without clinging to every story. When your ego is hurt because someone forgot you, ignored you, or no longer needs you, you can pause and ask, if I am not this role, not this importance, not this identity, am I still here? And you will notice, yes, you are. When a memory fades, when a career ends, when a relationship changes, it may feel like something in you is dying. But maybe it is only the wave that is falling, so the ocean in you can be felt more clearly. One day, the end of everything you know will come, and the beginning of what I have always been. Because when we dare to talk about death, we finally remember how to live.